All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this Hammond Redevelopment Commission meeting to order on this Thursday, May 9th, 2019. It is now 4:30. Can you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence after? Thank you on that. Can we get a roll call on the commissioners?
Soto Presley?
Here.
Kasperky?
Here.
Merrick? Myricks? Popridge?
Here, for the record, we have 3 present, 2 absent, but Greg Myricks, he did call in. He says he's going to be running late, so hopefully he shows. All right, number 3, declaration of conflict of interest. Okay, number 4, communications.
None were received.
Okay, that brings us to our minutes, which is number 5, April 2nd, 2019 minutes, and April 16th, 2019 minutes.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes for April 2nd, 2019 and April 16, 2019.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for our minutes dating April 2nd, 2019, and April 16th, 2019. Is there any further questions or discussion on these minutes? Okay, roll call, please.
Soto Presley?
Yes.
Kasperky?
Yes.
Merrick? Myricks? Popridge?
Yes, motion passes, 3 yes, 2 absent. Number 6 is our homebound conditional forgivable loan approval. It looks like we have 3 applicants.
Yes, they're all present.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You just want to introduce yourself briefly to the commissioners here?
Ralph Mihalovich.
Mr. Mihalovich, where did you hear about our program?
I just looked it up online and that trying to first time buying a house.
Well, no, that was my next question. First time buyer. But yeah, we're pretty proud of our program. So I was just kind of curious how you heard about it. But thank you. Next, please.
Jalissa Krasko.
Go ahead.
No.
So same question, Yelissa. Where did you hear about our program?
My sister-in-law and her family are from here, and she just recently bought her first house, and she mentioned it to me.
So your sister used the program also?
Yes.
And, okay, very good. And are you're a first-time home buyer?
Yes.
Very good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. That leaves Ryan. Where did fireman? Thank you for your service.
Yes, Ryan
And,
Anguiano.
how did you hear about us?
Other firemen that are around the firehouse had been talking about it, and then I searched it on the internet through the city website.
Very good.
Great.
First-time home buyer?
Yes, sir.
All right. Those are the questions.
That's it.
Yeah, that's pretty much all it is.
Yeah, we just appreciate you taking the time to come, introduce yourself to the commissioners.
Thank you for having us.
Mr. President, I move for the approval of all 3 homebound additional forgivable loan applicants.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the homebound conditional forgivable loan approval for the 3 applicants that are present tonight. Can we have a roll call, please?
Soto Presley?
Yes.
Kasperky?
Yes.
Merrick? Myricks? Popridge?
Yes, motion passes, 3 yes, 2 absent. Okay, number 7 is a second amendment to development agreement.
Congratulations. Good luck.
Thank you.
Members of the commission, this is a second amendment to development agreement for the development that is up near the Walmart and the casino. We've had 2 prior development agreements with this developer. And the reason for this amendment specifically is that the developer originally, as part of the deal, was that they were going to, at the property that is 10770 Indianapolis Boulevard, there's a fireworks store there, and it's an older fireworks store. But part of the development agreement was, and it's listed there on the first page, this paragraph 1.10D, had all of the places that, as part of the development agreement, were not going to contain fireworks stores, although the ones that were existing at the time were going to be allowed to continue to exist, which would have included 10770 Indianapolis Boulevard. Well, since 2013 and 2014, the developers' plans have changed, and at 850 Indianapolis Boulevard, they would like to put a new fireworks store, and in exchange for that, they're going to close the one at 10770 Indianapolis Boulevard. So it's a net zero for the city in terms of the number, but it's actually a net gain for the city because the new store will be constructed with all of the new building materials, up-to-date new fire codes. I believe it'll be sprinkled. Is that right? It'll be sprinkled and have a bunch of safety features that are not currently existing at the one at 10770. So while the number is a net zero, there's actually a gain for the city in that we get a brand-new store with up-to-date building materials, meeting up-to-date building codes. And the way this Second Amendment is going to work is that they'll construct that one. Once that is constructed and ready for occupancy, and they get an occupancy permit, and they open the new store, then a deed restriction, as well as this development agreement, would go into place for 10770 Indianapolis Boulevard. So that could never again be used without our approval, so that the number will never increase. It's just we're getting it's a newer store with the safety features of a newer store.
Is this part of the development where there was the Cabela's entrance or whatever, with the gas station and the hospital and all that?
It is not. You're south. Go north all the way to the casino. Indianapolis Boulevard up by the
I apologize.
casino.
No wonder I was confused. Okay.
And a lot of, and I don't want to go back and recount everything the developer's done, but part of the original deal in 2013 and 2014 was they were going to close some of the more dilapidated looking structures, knock them down, and things of that nature. And they've done all those things. It's just they got to this one, and this 850, they're putting a brand-new gas station in, and then there's going to be a little retail store separate and apart from the gas station that they wanted to put fireworks in. Well, they knew the only way that the administration was going to even consider it is if we got something in return for that. And so knocking down, and I don't want to call it blighted or dilapidated or anything like that, but it's clearly old, right? The 10770 address. So to get rid of that, and I know Brendan can't really agree with me on this, but to get rid of that is a plus for us, and especially when we can get a brand-new building that's sprinkled with all the safety features that are required in a new store.
Especially this one being fireworks, so.
That's right, right. So that's what the Second Amendment does. The developer is well aware that this will have to go through, and I see Councilman Mark out there, this will have to go through, whenever you amend a development agreement, it has to go through the same process that the original development agreement went through. So you're the first sort of the first body that's going to have a chance to kind of have its say on this, and then the next thing will be the EDC, and then the next thing will be the council, and then ultimately the mayor. And if everybody on the city side agrees, and then the developer signs it, that's where you're at.
All right, thank you.
I have no other questions, so, I was 5 miles off from most of the discussion, so. Mr. President, I move for the approval of the Second Amendment to the development agreement.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the Second Amendment to the development agreement. If there's no further questions or discussion, roll call then.
Soto Presley,
Yes.
Casperky,
Yes.
Merrick, Myricks,
Yes.
Hopperidge.
Yes. For the record, 4 yes, 1 absent, and Greg Myricks has joined us now. Thank you. All right, that brings us to number 8, determination of compliance with the redevelopment plan for Marina redevelopment area for 850 Indianapolis Boulevard.
So this is the new construction that I was talking about or alluding to, and I know the developers here, and along with Mr. Poland, who has a comprehensive analysis as usual. So if the developer wants to give a brief overview, and then Mr. Poland can give his comprehensive analysis. Briefly give his comprehensive analysis.
There's a compliment in there somewhere for you, Brian.
He always misses the
Thorough
compliments.
comprehensive analysis. For the record, my name is Brandon Dickinson. I'm with the Luke Oil Marina District Development Group. This project, as Dave has detailed so far, this is a $5 million project for us. This site has a pretty large British Petroleum gas site, Luke Oil. It's dilapidated, it's not attractive, and we've invested a lot of money in that area with the new Walmart, the new IHOP, all those retail buildings. So we're self-interested and a community partner, and so we want to clean up as much as we can, given the limited resources that we have. So this is one of our most important projects, and what we would do here is we would demolish the gas station and the car wash, and we would rebuild a brand-new gas station, car wash, and then the retail store that we would put on the backside is the fireworks store that we discussed earlier. The material and the appearance and architecture of this new building would look almost identical to the PUD requirements, which is just those buildings across the way, masonry, multi-sided architecture, well-lit, more green space, etc. So this is a refresh. This is our investment with Hammond to make Indianapolis Boulevard as attractive as it can be. And our goal would be to continue moving down the properties on Indianapolis, like 10770 that we talked about earlier, and we would continue to tear down, refresh, rebuild throughout our investment properties here in Hammond. So that's our goal. That's what we've brought here today for your review, and I'm happy to answer any questions that the commission might have.
Looks really good, the plan.
Pretty straightforward.
All right, thank you, sir. We will bring up Mr. Brian Poland for his overview of the project.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, so you do have copies of the report and the plans.
I wish gas prices were that right now.
You know, gas prices is probably a very lengthy conversation for another time.
Yeah.
The process of this development was initially to get the determination of compliance. That was tabled from a previous meeting because of this question of the fireworks. We did go through the Plan Commission for the rezoning of the property from I-2 to C4. That is slated for council approval on Monday night, if I remember correctly. And so now we're getting the determination of compliance. It is in the Marina redevelopment area, and because of the nature of that particular document, we're going back to a 1998 document. And the documents typically have objectives of encouraging new development in retail commercial areas and just improving the quality of life and the services of an area. It kind of indicated from what was stated before, the property is not technically in the Marina District Development PUD, but it abuts it. Their intent is to follow the design criteria that is in the PUD, as well as, they have their own franchise type architecture. Those are the things that, as we go forward with this process, with the BZA has to look at the gas station and the car wash as conditional use permits. Those design details are still under review by the city engineer, as well as will continue to be under review by the planning department staff. As Mr. Westland referenced, you just approved the amendment to the development agreement. That is to address this question of the retail fireworks. And so once that gets approved, then that one building, the back building, will be allowed to be occupied for fireworks sales. The project will help improve the visual quality of Indianapolis Boulevard, bring new investment, and of course upgrade the current fueling operation to meet the current requirements. It is recommended that the Redevelopment Commission determine that this project is in compliance with the 1998 North Hammond redevelopment plan for the Marina redevelopment area, subject to 1, the approval of the City Council for the rezoning, 2, the approval of the conditional use permits by the BZA, 3, compliance with the gas station design standards and regulations, and 4, the adoption of the Second Amendment to the development agreement, sorry.
So, Mr. Poland, just for the record, could you give us what the acronyms PUD and BZA stands for?
PUD is Planned Unit Development. It is a special zoning district with its own zoning criteria that were created for the property that's at 5th Avenue and Indianapolis Boulevard. BZA, Board of Zoning Appeals.
Thank you, sir. Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion for the approval of the determination of compliance with the redevelopment plan for Marina redevelopment area for 850 Indianapolis Boulevard. That's, am I on the right one?
Yep.
Number 9.
Subject to the following conditions, that it is in compliance with the Redevelopment Commission, in compliance with the 1998 North Hammond redevelopment plan for the Marina redevelopment area, subject to the approval by the City Council for the rezoning, approval of the conditional use permits by the BZA, compliance with the gas station design standards and regulations, and the adoption of the Second Amendment to the development agreement.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. If there's no further questions or discussion, roll call, please.
Soto Presley?
Yes.
Casperky?
Yes.
Merrick?
Myrick's, yes.
She's Merrick.
Oh,
Myrick.
I forgot her name, Shane.
Myrick's?
Yes.
Poppridge?
Yes, motion passes 4 yes with 1 absent. Thank you, Mr. Poland. Okay, number 9 is an approval of proposal for the sale of real property commonly known as 3829 Holman Avenue.
No presentations here? Anybody?
Didn't we already talk about this property?
It was tabled.
It
You accepted.
was opened back in April, right? And the bid that we received was for $100, and everyone questioned why is it $100? And so in talking to Mr. Poland and Ms. Anderson today, this piece of property is 25 by 120, so it's a strip that's between 2 pieces of property that are owned by Barbara and Claude Forite. This strip of property was part of, I got a history lesson from Mr. Poland, it was part of the public library had also owned it. So when we purchased the library building, we also got this empty lot. The lot, then when we sold the library, we didn't sell this lot. Okay, the adjoining owner is the same person on both sides. The strip is a parking lot that I assume in the winter, the adjoining owner plows and actually maintains. And it only makes sense that we would sell this to the adjoining owner, and probably when we purchased the library building, I don't even know if we knew we had this lot as part of it. So that's why you're not going to get another bid on this, right? Like, who's going to, unless somebody really hates the Forites, nobody's going to buy this lot in the middle of them, right? In the middle of their two pieces. And the only one it makes any sense to sell it to is them. So that's what's up for your approval tonight, their offer of $100. I would just say the $100 purchase price is fine, but that the cost of the transfer, I would ask the buyer to also take the cost of the transfer, because there's, if we do a quitclaim deed, that's one thing, but if we have to do a warranty deed, then there's title work and there's a closing cost that could be like $400 or $500. I never like to, when we sell property, even when we sell it on a forgivable loan or other ways, I always kind of insist that the buyer pick up the cost of that, because, we're kind of doing them a favor by how we're selling it, so they should take care of those costs. So, and I see them nodding, so my recommendation would be that if you're inclined to do it, and I see no reason not to, would be to make the motion to approve the sale for the $100 plus the closing costs.
So moved. Oh, you had a question?
First of all, Dr. Forite was my doctor, and he's a wonderful man, so I'm treading lightly here. But, Mr. Poland, or the history lesson here, we're talking about...
Can we get a second before we have the discussion, though, technically? We didn't get anyone second it. Technically, you're supposed to have a motion, a second, and then discussion. And then you can talk to your heart's content.
I second it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay.
All right, we have
Now, Mr. Casper.
we have a motion and a second on the floor. If there's any questions or discussion, go ahead, Councilman Kaspricki.
So Dr. Forite owned what used to be the A&W. Then we're talking about the parking lot here for the $100, and then his office, correct?
Not even the whole parking lot. It's just like about a fourth of the parking lot. It's very small, just a strip, with no possibility of future development for the city.
No, I understand. It makes perfect sense for them to buy it. I get that. That's not in question. But when a property comes up in Hammond after a repo or a demolition, very many lots in Hammond are going to be 25 by 125. Would that lot sell for $100?
It normally wouldn't sell.
What's that?
They normally won't sell.
They wouldn't sell because our smallest lot, Mr. Poland, to build anything on is, what, 30 feet or 40 feet wide?
25, I think, but yeah, right.
Well, it depends upon the zoning district. R1U is a 40-foot lot, and theoretically, a 25-foot is a legal non-conforming lot, and someone could always go to the BZA and ask for permission to build on a 25-foot lot, but you still have to meet the setback requirements. So in essence, you would have a shotgun house that really would not be a viable property. So in all practical purposes, this lot has no other value except to be attached to the other parcels.
So this would be the highest and best use of this property, just to sell it, correct?
In my opinion, that is the highest and best use, is to continue its use as a parking lot. I think what Mr. Kaspricki was getting at is there are other properties that we may buy that may be smaller because they were zoned back in the 20s and 30s and 40s and whatever. And I can tell you that we've had several meetings in those, with regard to those areas of town that don't meet the 40 feet that Brian is talking about. And the challenge when we've acquired some of those homes is, do we replat after we acquire the neighboring. And what do we do with that? Because we don't want, as a rule, we don't want 25-foot lots, right? And so to answer your question is, I think where you were going with that was, and stop me, is will this come up again and again and again? And I think in a residential area, it won't, because the areas that I know that I've been working on, and Mr. Poland's been in these meetings, we're talking about ways to either combine or to kind of reconfigure it so that it does meet sort of minimum width requirements. This one, though, you're on Holman Avenue, it's just not, it doesn't make sense to go through that process.
Again, I understand that that's the perfect buyer. I was kind of trying not to set a standard for the future.
And I don't think you are.
Right, and if I may say, we had another parcel appraised recently, and it happens to be a 10-foot by 45-foot parcel that is kind of randomly isolated. And I believe the appraisal came back as $0 in value because of its particular circumstances. So you're going to have to trust the integrity of the appraiser who comes up with these values. And, they're going to go base it on comparables. And if they can't find something that's equal enough to give it any value, there's going to be some parcels that are potentially worthless. And
Lucky they're not a net negative, because if I own that piece and I'm not the city, I got to pay taxes on it, right? So if I got a 10-foot wide piece of property that I'm paying taxes on, whatever it is, and I can't build on it, and really no hope for getting a variance with only 10 feet, and there's, like, other than putting a shed there, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I got to maintain it, because if I don't maintain it, then I'm going to get code enforcement, right? So I've got a cost to holding a piece like that.
That's actually, you put taxes in there, that's a whole different topic, but let's move on. Yeah, it's fine. I'm okay with it. Like I said, I was more discussing the future than I was, setting precedent.
I think this one's unique, and I don't think it sets a precedent.
And since the family is acquiring it, now they can extend their development at this area. Before, they were blocked right in the middle of it. Now that they're going to hopefully gain the whole parcel, they can redevelop it, which is a good thing.
Maybe we'll get our A&W back then.
I doubt it.
Reading the body language, I don't think so.
Okay, is there any more discussion? Okay, there's still a motion and a second on the floor. That's for the approval of proposal to sell real property commonly known as 3829 Holman Avenue for the buyers for a purchase price of $100 and cost of transfer fees and all closing costs. We have roll call, please.
Soto Presley?
Yes.
Hesperkey?
Yes.
Merrick? Myricks?
Yes.
Poppridge?
Yes, motion passes 4 yes with 1 absent. Number 10 is approval of the Fifth Amendment to agreement to purchase real estate for 628 Hoffman Street.
Okay, so the Fifth Amendment on this, which is extending the closing date, and Mr. Myricks is going to ask me, why are we doing this? And so the answer is that there have been some environmental issues that we've been working through, but also the engineering department has informed us that the bike path is going to go on one side of this property, and part of those environmental issues is the sanitary district, as part of their consent decree, has to build a bioswale, so we're not selling as much of it as we thought we were going to sell, and we're working through the environmental issues, so we've agreed, or if you agree with the developer, to extend that closing date to July 17th, which will give us another 30 days to keep working through those issues.
Yeah. Mr. President, I move for the approval of the Fifth Amendment to the agreement to purchase real estate at 628 Hoffman.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call on that, please?
Soto Presley?
Yes.
Kespricky?
Yes.
Merrick? Myricks?
Yes.
Poppridge?
Yes, motion passes. 4 yes, 1 absent. Okay, number 11 is acceptance of a donation of 25 parcels of real property. Is that supposed to be from the Hammond Sanitary District?
It is.
Okay.
So these properties, these 25 properties were purchased, they're just east of Columbia, north of 8094. It's part of the sanitary district's, it's a green space, also part of their compliance. That's going to be a shallow retention or detention area. I always get those two terms confused. There shouldn't be water in it very much, but it will be a little bit of a detention area. And so now you're going to ask, why are we accepting these properties and from them, and why are they donating them to us? Well, the reason is that there are, as part of the purchase, there were some real estate taxes that need to be expunged from those, and there's any municipal entity has a right to expunge taxes. The problem is, through a quirk in the statute, the Redevelopment Commission has the ability to do it at the county level through the auditor and assessor's office with simply writing them a letter and saying, hey, we now own these, expunge the taxes. Whereas if the city owns the property, or in this case, the sanitary district owns the property, there's a fairly lengthy petition process through the State Board of Accounts. You win in both instances where the taxes get expunged, but one process through the State Board of Accounts, there's a much higher fee incurred to do it because it's way more time intensive, as opposed to, if you approve this tonight, I'll be writing the auditor and assessor a letter tomorrow, and we'll get it back like within a week saying, hey, guess what? The taxes are expunged. So what it is you can choose one of two mechanisms. One mechanism is real costly, and the other one doesn't cost you much of anything, but you've got to transfer it into the name of the Redevelopment Commission to do that. So the sanitary district has resolved to transfer these properties to you. I'm still waiting for the deeds to come back from the sanitary district, but once we get those deeds, we'll go record them. I'll write the letter, and we'll get to the point where we're trying to get to.
So do we need to table it until that happens?
No, you just need to move to accept the donation of the 25 parcels.
So I would like to make that motion of acceptance of the donation of the 25 parcels of real property from the Hammond Sanitary District.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the acceptance of donation of 25 parcels of real property from the Hammond Sanitary District. Can we have a roll call on that, please?
Soto Presley?
Yes.
Kespricky?
Yes.
Merrick? Myricks?
Yes.
Poppridge?
Yes, motion passes. 4 yes, 1 absent. Okay, that brings us to number 12, an approval of shared parking agreement between Hammond Redevelopment Commission and Cube Sports Complex, LLC, for the property commonly known as 2825 JF Mahoney Drive.
So I was kidding Ann before the meeting that this is kind of like my meeting because these are all my documents. This shared parking agreement, this deals with the hockey complex that's being built. The Cube Sports Complex LLC, or the Ice Cube, owns the property which they purchased from you, and they're building the building on at 2825 JF Mahoney Drive. We still own a piece of property in that subdivision at 2823 JF Mahoney Drive, which is going to be part of a parking lot to help with Dowling Park as well as that sports complex. Part of the development agreement with the Ice Cube folks was that we would allow them in overflow situations to use that parking lot, just like when they don't have people at theirs, we use people who want to use Dowling Park and use whatever, right? So This is a memorialization, which quite frankly is required by the financial institution for the Cube sports people, that will be recorded to show that we have this shared parking agreement. For all intents and purposes, it's going to look like one big lot.
Mr. President, I move for the approval of the shared parking agreement between the Hammond Redevelopment Commission and Cube Sports Complex LLC for the property commonly known as 2825 JF Mahoney Drive.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further questions or discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Soto Presley?
Yes.
Casperky?
Yes.
Merrick? Myricks?
Yes.
Stockbridge?
Yes, motion passes 4 yes, 1 absent. Thank you, Attorney Westland.
You think I'm done? I think I'm done.
You might have something under new and unfinished business. We haven't
Hey,
gotten
I'll
to
hold you in
Who
suspense.
knows?
it. Okay, that brings us to number 13, our reports. We have Ann Anderson here tonight. Would you like to share anything?
Yes, one thing, we have Mayor's Night Out coming up in about 2 weeks. It will be in the 2nd District in downtown Hammond at the Hub of Innovation on May 22nd, starting at 6:30. We will be talking about some updates for the upcoming downtown master plan. I believe a couple of the agreements were passed here in the past month or two, so we're going to get started on those, so I'll keep you updated.
So that'd be a good meeting to attend.
Absolutely.
All right.
Ms. Anderson, you said May 22nd,
May 22nd. It's a Wednesday. Is it?
6:30?
6:30 to 8:30 usually.
Okay, thank you on that. That brings us to number 14, our Register of Claims dating April 8th, 2019 through May 3rd, 2019. That's for Redevelopment Commission meeting tonight of May 9th, 2019.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to accept the Register of Claims for April 8th, 2019 through May 3rd, 2019 for Register of Claims R5315 through R57419.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the Register of Claims for April 8th, 2019 through May 3rd, 2019. That's claims R57315 through claim R57419. Any questions or discussion on these claims for staff? Okay, roll call on the claims.
Soto Presley?
Yes.
Casperky?
Yes.
Merrick? Myricks?
Yes.
Stockbridge?
Yes, motion passes 4 yes with 1 absent. Okay, number 15's new and unfinished business.
We have one item for new business. We have the HC3, which is a business community in Hessville Commerce and Community Creative. They are requesting use of redevelopment-owned land during their Live in the Ville event in June. The exact dates are June 7th and 8th, and it's a lot of land that they would like to use for an extension of their event for a beer garden. And I believe this is a certificate of liability insurance approving that.
Yes. That was my next question, but you answered it. Thank you.
No problem. If you have any questions, we have the president of the HC3 here in attendance.
The same as in the past?
Oh, did you do this last year, Amy?
HC3 did not do this last year, but Previously, they had at one point, Byway Brewery was the one that did the beer garden at the same location in 2000, it was either 2015 or 2016.
So this year you're doing your own beer garden?
We are doing our own beer garden. We need the money. So we are doing our own beer garden this year.
Typically, the thing we always ask for is to show that we're an additional insured, and if you look down at the lower left-hand corner,
Yeah, I see it.
the city is, so that covers us.
Yeah, it's $1 million per occurrence, so that's good. I'm fine with this. So how do we need to make this motion?
Motion to approve their request for the use of the property contingent on this policy staying in effect through the event.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Commission.
Thank you, Amy. Okay, we have a motion and a second. We have a roll call on that, please.
Soto Presley?
Yes.
Kespricky?
Yes.
Merrick? Myricks?
Yes.
Poppridge?
Yes, motion passes, 4 yes, 1 absent. Okay, is there any other new and unfinished business?
Not at this time.
Okay, number 16, public comment. Anybody like to come forward? You may do so now. We usually try to just give you 3 minutes, but
Okay. My name is Nancy Stolman. I'm a Realtor with Remax Realty. I came to the meeting today, actually, I thought I was going to be on the agenda. On April 18th, I wrote an offer for a property located at 1733 Lake Avenue in Robertsdale. It's the last new construction property on the Lincoln Lake development. The offer was written on April 18th. I see it was just after your last meeting, and I was just wondering if there's any status or update on that offer. Did you receive it?
bless you.
Did we?
As far as I know, no.
I've communicated with Africa, and that's why I thought I was on the agenda for today. So I have a copy of it if you would like to make a copy.
Yeah, if you've communicated with Africa, she's currently out, which is why Ann's kind of sitting here in her place. But I think Africa's going to be back on
Next Tuesday.
next Tuesday. So I can circle back with Africa to, this is the first time hearing of it, so I can
Okay,
circle
so
back.
you haven't seen it?
I have not.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that was gonna be my suggestion. They'll take down your name and information, and,
I have Nancy's information.
okay, they'll get with Africa,
Yeah.
and, I'm sure they can be able to answer that for you.
Okay. And when would your next meeting be so that I can communicate back to my client who's been
Pull up the
patiently
calendar,
waiting?
unless somebody-
May 21, is that right?
May 21st?
Yeah, the day when I get back.
Tuesday, the 21st.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, just want to acknowledge Mark Kowinski, First District Councilman. Thank you for coming out, and congratulations on your election in the First District again. All right, number 17.
Mr. President, I make a motion to adjourn.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Can you all signify by aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Meeting is adjourned.